All right, it's recording. And five, four, three, two, one. Hey, oh crap. Let's cut. I'm gonna. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our very first episode of our podcast. It's a work in progress, so the title is.
It's not really our first episode, though.
Yeah, the first episode is actually locked away in a very concealed place. I'm not gonna say anything where it is, but media fire. So I guess we'll introduce myself. Start with introductions. I'll introduce myself. I am Edtama 23, EDTAMA 23. That's my PSN handle, and that's my Twitter handle, Discord. Pretty much, if you type in that name, you'll find me. And I'll start off by introducing to my good pal. You want to show everybody what your name is?
Yeah, I was co-host MeanMug,
MeanMug.
it, or MeanMug XP to be correct.
Yeah, it's funny because I always read it as Meemaw or something. I never actually looked at it, but then I was like, I thought it was Mean Mugen XP. Like I thought I saw Mugen, and I was just like, oh, that makes sense. You gave me a Mugen game in college one time.
Yeah, but if that was the case, I had to actually spell it correctly.
Yeah. Um. So I guess we can start off with would you games that we played this week. Why don't you tell me what games you got into or any sort of shenanigans?
Well, through my infinite catalog of playing multiple RPGs, I I know I'm late. I finally started playing Disgaea.
You may be late to that party, but I mean, I'm even later than you. I haven't even tried it once.
Hey, when you have a Switch, anything can happen.
It was on sale on Steam. I was thinking about getting it, but I think the only one that was like this Gaia 5, and I don't know. I want to start with the first one, but I don't know where to go on from there. Like, other than that,
I think you'd be good with just the remake of the first one, or PC just for the HD-ish look if you want,
yeah.
and then just go on from there. I mean, all the old ones can you can either get it for PSP or something else.
Yeah, it's one that I've always been interested in to like, oh, I saw that game at a GameStop. Maybe I'll play it, and then I never actually did. But in the back of my head, every time it comes up, it's one of those. I really should get into that when I have a chance.
Yep.
All right. Well, as far as this podcast and episode one, we're gonna be screwing up a lot. We screwed up for me. I think we screwed up more technically on the first episode. I just don't think it was up to my standards. And if this one means anything, I don't think this one it will either. But this one is gonna.
Hopefully, this one doesn't suffer from the static plague.
We're probably gonna get it anyway, but that's not important. I just didn't like the way I came out on the first episode, but that's just me. I gotta break out of this mold of, oh, this wasn't good enough, and just get it out there for people. So, oh, we got a little bit of dead silence there. I'm gonna cut that off, but this part's not important. Um, so I recently been getting on Paladins. That's a game that a lot of people were calling it the Overwatch ripoff, and to be honest, it kind of is. I mean, I'm not gonna beat around the bush. It carries a lot of things that are just like they literally just played Overwatch and decided, hey, that's pretty cool. We should do that too, and added it to their game. Granted, it's not everything is not it of it is a Overwatch ripoff, but the parts of it that are very obvious. But
You gotta pay money to ripping off Overwatch.
yeah, Overwatch full of creative ideas. We're definitely not TF2. Uh no, that's just I don't know. That's I've been like that for some reason. I'm been I been a TF2 player for a while. I mean, my Steam says 349 hours. I felt like I played more, but I've been off and on. But it's still, that game has a lot more in terms of just getting into it and hopping onto a game and just playing a match, and that satisfaction, because there's no, I mean, there's the hats and all that weird system that's happened ever since it went free to play, but for even compared to like Paladins and Overwatch, I still think TF2 will still be up there. I mean, it says a lot when a game has been out for more than almost 11 years now, 12 maybe. Oh man, when it first came out, it still holds that title of being like the longest character like first person shooter game that just has all these classes that have different abilities.
The only thing I know about T because some people have to make it a dead meme. Like, oh, this is funny. I'm gonna repeat the same thing 1,000 times until that's a different story.
Yeah. We do have some subjects to talk about in this podcast, and occasionally we'll get sidetracked, but we'll try to get segue onto them as best as we can. Not like right now where I'm trying to segue into it. So, but MeanMug had a topic that he wanted to bring up, and I'll let him get on to that topic. Go ahead.
Yeah, for those who been playing video games for a long time, you know who you are. If you coming out of the '80s or the '90s, there's a bit of a conundrum. Now, the kids don't have the world don't notice this problem because yeah, it's obvious kids play video games, but
Yeah.
for some reason, it's a stigma for anyone older than I'd say 17 and up. Like anyone around that age bracket, if you're caught playing video games out in the opening, it's frowned upon.
Yeah, some people, like, I see people give the weird look when I see people when I was at the college. You'd see some people raise their eyebrows when somebody's on a 3DS and stuff.
Yeah.
But the most recent one, I before that and after that, it was the Switch. I mean the Wii U, and then it was the Switch. It was weird actually. I think honestly, a real talk, I think the only one that I would ever raise an eyebrow is the Wii U, because technically it's not a portable system. It just it's practically portable if you think about it, but you still got to plug it into a wall. And I remember there was people like playing it at airports because they had it, they were going to go on a vacation, and they're playing it on the pad, because most games you could play on the pad, but some games you couldn't play. You needed both the TV and the gamepad. But the Switch is pretty much
Which,
just
if you were to bat an eye in that form of context, then it wouldn't be bad per se. Cause it's like wow, because I would too, but it wouldn't be in a negative light to where I'm like, what is he doing?
have you
Like, man, this man brought a Wii U to the airport and just chilling playing.
have you seen the I've seen some images of people like bringing a widescreen TV into like a coffee shop and just playing a first person shooter there, and it's just so weird because I think it's
That's just excessive. If someone wanted to bat an eye to that and be like, when I can see, because it's like, bruh, the TV, the console, you trying. This is a place where everyone comes to drink coffee. It's like, come on,
yeah, yeah, and I think they were probably jokes. They don't think they were really doing, like, they probably got permission. They were like, hey, can we just do this and take a picture? Because most employees that let that happen, they don't care. They're just employees trying to get by. As long as you're not bothering the patrons and the employees, I think you should be fine if you play video games. But doing that was probably just some jokes. And you know, games for me, if you're playing any kind of game in public, I really think it's your own, process of, let me try to get my words together. Like, if you think that people are looking down on you, I mean, they probably are, but I mean, almost anybody can be looking down on you, even if you're not playing games. You can be walking down the street and somebody could just see you and be like, "Gosh, why is that
You
guy even
wearing
out?"
these clothes? Something's wrong.
Yeah, they
Even though you got a tuxedo on and all that.
yeah they look at you based on your image, and it may not even be because of games. It's just because they're just judgmental on that. It's just human nature to be a little judgmental on things. Even people that claim that they're not like judgy or like, oh, I would never, I let people do their own thing. They honestly,
But it's
they're
a
the
double standard. You can sit on the couch and watch TV all day, but somehow playing video games make you, even though you're handling your responsibilities and whatnot.
yeah, and but like it's the whole idea that you're out in public. These people that don't like. There are a lot of people who watch TV more hours than people that are actually playing. Like somebody playing a couple of hours, like 4 hours of Fortnite. I know that's impossible, like statistically, but like just an example. If somebody plays 4 hours of Fortnite a week, that's the most healthiest thing because that's almost impossible. Nobody will play 4 hours of Fortnite in a whole week, but that would still be socially unacceptable compared to somebody watching like a marathon of Impractical Jokers, Pawn Stars, or anything on it for 12 hours. And those, I remember when the TV would just be on, and if I'm not playing games, I go out into the living room, and Pawn Stars is just on the whole day because they marathon it because they know that's what people are going to watch. They don't want to watch these new shows. Most of the networks are airing reality TV, and by reality I just mean shows that have no real like writing. It's just something that you can just put out there, and they'll marathon it, and it's the whole day from day to night, and no breaks. And because you don't have to, it's background noise, it's kind of acceptable. But if somebody was watching that all day in public like at a cafe and they were just staying there the whole day, of course they would get the same kind of like thing of like, oh, he's playing games. But nobody does that. Nobody watches TV out in public. But playing a 3DS in public, something that they bought their kids, they see somebody, an older person doing that, they read the articles, they do those things, and they just assume that, oh, that person, was made some rough choices in life because they're playing something that is aimed towards a younger audience.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I like, for me, I had portable games. I rarely did play them outside of my house because I played them so long that the battery would die. So I would just plug it into the charger and just sit there and play it. Even with my PSP was like my first ever official, my own personal handheld game console. I know there's a Game Boy Advance's SPs and all that stuff, but they weren't technically mine. The PSP was mine. I owned it. And I brought it around. I actually played it a lot. And I loved the PSP. It was great. Oh man, I had a blast with it. Even if I didn't get all the games that you had to get for the PSP. What was it?
I said
Too many memories spent with.
Yeah. Oh, but Ape Escape was like the first game that I got on the PSP.
I
And
mean, Dissidia, Tekken 6,
yeah.
like Kingdom Hearts. Well, Final Mix because mine was soft modded.
Yeah. I actually played the original Birth by Sleep, and I had the older version of PSPs, and I only had like the small gigabyte memory stick, so you can install the data to make the game load faster. And I would erase almost everything just to make some space to add that, just to get the like. You have three different.
So yeah, that or playing Tales of the World, Rare Mythology 2 and 3. And
Yeah,
I had too much fun with that one.
but it was cool when I got Wi-Fi access and played some of the demos of games that I could never get because I just being a kid, you can't afford all these games. And most of them, by the time I am able to afford them, they got HD ports on the PS3 or Just never. I just don't have a working PSP anymore. I know
And
there's.
that's why emulation is good.
Yeah, no, no, of course. But
That's
I'm
why
just
you're really gonna pay all that money on eBay.
no, of course, and that physical media is even getting hard to obtain. Like, there's a lot of games that people are like, "Why don't you just buy the real one? Why do you gotta emulate it?" It's like somebody like
Cause
stream.
some of us don't have $200 just to get a mini CD that's barely that big.
Oh no, and even smaller games that aren't even like cult classics. They're just niche games. Like there's this game called based on a show that aired in Japan and Europe called Gregory Horror Show. I watched Joel from you know Vines the Vine Sauce community stream it, and he was emulating it through I don't know how he was emulating it, but somebody said why don't you just play the official PS2 version? And he's like he opens up eBay, and the only copy that somebody had it was in mint condition. It was like for £4,000 or euros or whatever. Point is, it was overly the people inflate these prices because it doesn't matter if the game was good or not. It just matters that you wanted to play it. Well, too bad. It was a limited copy game, so we heard it was worth a lot of money, so we decided to jack it up way more than it's actually worth.
Yeah, but going back to topic,
Oh yeah, we kind of
I've
drifted
I've
off.
seen the stigma many times over and over. It's the double standard of I can play Candy Crush for hours, but if I see someone on a Switch, that something's wrong with them.
Yeah, and in fact, I remember there was a time where like mobile games were kind of uh invading on, the kids would just click on ads cuz they don't know any better and just buy in-game currency because their parents left their card attached to the account. So they and the thing is that it rarely does say, "Are you sure you want to purchase this?" And you can put a password code around it, but most parents don't really think about it cuz they don't play it enough. But their kids don't know any better, so they just buy. And then there was an article saying that Google Play had to give back like 100 or it was a high number, like in the millions of money back to customers because there was just this whole stigma of just buying the in-game currency to get to the level and just playing it again.
Yeah, my thing is this. If it's like, why do we have such a double standard of what's acceptable and what's not? And then when you try to have a conversation, there's no substantive answer. It's just, well, shoot, it's nerdy, it's childish to be playing games, but you play games on your phone. Well, that's different. It's still a game which takes haptic feedback.
Yeah, but most people that I
It's
rem
just the difference is I have a controller, you're using glass to play.
yeah, but for me, I think it was always when I always heard these things, it was from people that didn't even play games at all. Like they don't even like mobile games was even minor. But it's no matter where you go, no matter what community you go to, whether it be comics, anime, manga, video game, anything within geek culture, you're gonna have that stigma no matter what. You could be part of anything, and you'll get those people that just look at you wrong. Like you can be part of a gun club. You're gonna be looked at weird because you like guns. It's just who it's people just have need a reason to look at you and think they're better than you because again like I mentioned before it's just human nature to be judgmental and to make people feel better about themselves they got to put other people down. That's just how people are. We are. I'm like that sometimes. I'm guilty of it. I'm not going to beat around the bush and I'm say that I haven't thought that I'm not better than somebody. I've been to conventions. I say, "Whoa, man! I'm doing a lot better than that person." But
I mean, the point still remains when you try to address and talk to said people who have that same question, they don't want to have the discussion. They just, why are you doing it? Just so you can stop. But then when you say, all right, well, you want to talk about it? Let's talk about it. Oh, no, I got something to do.
Yeah, well, again, nobody wants to be wrong either. That's a like no like if because if you get them into a point where they could be wrong, they will backpedal and pretty soon it'll just lead to like pointless arguing and if it
It's
gets
like
really pit
why try to bring up the topic when you don't even want to address the subjects, though. That's what gets me at times.
yeah, and then if you do get them into a a conversation and like if it'll devoid into like oh I don't got time for that and then pretty much it just gets into like
I mean,
what
you got
name
time to
calling.
call me out. So
Yeah,
if you got time to call me out, you got time to make a conversation.
yeah, and it's I don't know. I just think it's getting weird. People want to say, "Man, can you believe people are doing this?" And it's just like, I guess. I mean, what like for me, one thing I'm getting tired of is like people complaining that kids are doing Fortnite dances. I'll be honest with you. I don't care. They're kids. If it wasn't going to be Fortnite dances, it would have been something completely different. It was the same thing with Pokemon cards. Why are kids playing Pokemon? It's just what's popular right
Why are
now.
people emulating wrestling moves?
Kids don't have a place to belong. Like they have these cliques within their own little groups. And the problem is that kids, don't know any better. So if you're not doing Fortnite dances, if they think that it's weird that you're not doing it or if you are, let that be between the kids. Don't start getting, nothing breaks a kid's self-esteem even more the fact that an adults are looking down on you. Like kids don't like already have enough like kids and adults already have their own problems to deal with. When they start crossing in with each other and then are adults having problems with kids being kids, I mean, it's like if a kid is doing a Fortnite dance and it's actually like bothering you in your workday, like they're getting in your face, they're knocking down your tablet. That's a whole different subject. But if they're just doing it and it's not bothering you, I don't think it matters. Like if like kids are rowdy and mostly it's their parents. If their parents aren't keeping them, watching them, they're gonna act a fool because their parents aren't letting them know that that's not okay. So if you're getting mad at a kid for doing a Fortnite dance, you really should be getting mad at the parent because it's just like, well, I mean, if it's really bothering you, sir, like
And it
it's
just goes on forever.
yeah, it's
Be a bland game
yeah. So that you
when it can't just be as simple. Either you just don't like the person doing that in front of you, or you just want to be left alone and quiet.
yeah, but and then that goes back to like, okay, you don't like it, and when I went to Delta HCon, some people were doing T poses and Fortnite dances, but you know what? They were having fun. Yeah, they were having fun. They looked like they were actually having fun, and there was just a bunch of random people that they're not a group of friends. Some of them were, but like little cliques of groups of friends come together with other groups of friends, make this big old forum, and they're having a blast. And it was just like, oh my gosh, I just realized something. I could have been those people that have been like, oh, are they really doing Fortnite dances? And it's just like they're having fun. They're meeting people they wouldn't have talked to. These people, like people at conventions are already like, socially awkward as much as possible. You're only hurting the like they're not they're just hanging out with people that understand what their interests are. Like you go to a convention, you know what kind of people you're going to run into. There's no isolation. There's no nobody's going to be looking at you weird with they might, but I mean it's not going to be as bad because most of the time you're going to be surrounded by people who are like, yeah, that's cool. It's like somebody saw you playing. Chances are, if you play Pokemon at a convention, somebody's like, "Hey, you want to trade or something?" I mean, at least when I experienced it, when Diamond and Pearl were still going at it, people would just be like, "Oh man, can you give me your 3DS code?" And it's just like, "Yeah, sure." And like, they're just enjoying themselves at their convention. It's like, and again, outside of it, public, it's a whole different ball game, and you just got to know if when you're, a public nuisance, but 3D playing your 3DS is probably the least offensive thing you can do. And
Or playing a Switch.
yeah, and the Switch is more justifiable because it's literally meant to be played portable. Like they advertised it like it's supposed to. You play it anywhere. Like the Wii U, no, that was kind of like a home console that was. Then you think about it,
Cause like here's like here will be a perfect example of what I'm referring to by the stigma. I go to the store late at night, and some people know how it is. Like when you go to the store, big ass line, cool, cool. A lot of people online, got a lot of food and crap to bring right back home, but the line's gonna take a minute because there's a lot. So I would take out my Switch, and I'm getting looked at as though, what's wrong with you? I'm like, um, there's a big line. I'm waiting.
they looking at you like you strangled a kitten.
Just because I'm waiting in a long line in the middle of the night.
Yeah, and it's funny because it you could like be doing a lot
I
weird.
mean, no volume. I'm not getting hype or rage. I was actually playing a turn-based RPG, just waiting for the line to move up.
Yeah,
But apparently, something's wrong with waiting in the line, in the long line,
you know what
for
I?
it to move up.
Yeah, yeah. I just thought of a funny scenario. Like you know what? That would make me be like that. Would actually make me laugh. Is if people were waiting in line and somebody with a backpack and their friends just unzip it and there's just a screen in there and they just start playing a fighting game. Just imagine like that. They're having a multi blood tournament while the line's going down. uh, I love
might,
the I
might
love
as well be how long that line.
yeah I love
And
the
so by the time I got up to the cash register, the the employee's giving me an attitude. She's like, "Is that all you got?" And I was like, "Um, yeah."
yeah I don't know
And
it's
it's like I'm gonna pay with some money that I've earned, so I don't get your deal.
yeah and I think I think it's just pretty much the bad timing because when you go out at a specific time, like if you go to you said it was um like if you go to Walmart or Family Dollar late at night, you're gonna run into like two types of people: people that are ready to go home, and people who do like you know.
Even though working late night can suck, but if it's a slow day, nothing going on, it's like, where's the anger coming from? It's not like 7 or 14 lines are about. There's just a group of people where they put in their thing. Like the person rolls it in with the conveyor belt and just like, all right, so this much. It's not like, oh God, here. It wasn't that stressful. So that's why I'm wondering is like, why are you getting irritated in the middle of the night when people? It's obvious that people are just going in and out. They ain't having a conversation. They ain't irritable. They put their stuff on the belt. You ring them up, and they go on with their business. That no stress, no mess, right?
Yeah, but I mean, it probably would have if it wasn't you, it would have been somebody else. Like it, people have a weird breaking point, and it's always no matter what, it'll just be the wrong. Like you just happen to be the right person to justify the the bitterness that they had, because like it doesn't matter. They could have had a good day all today. It can something could have just happened and just throw it all topsy turvy.
I
Like
mean, the day went to shit when I pulled out my Nintendo Switch to wait
and
in a
that's
long line.
that's all that they needed. That's all that they needed. They just needed a reason. Like it's just a three. Like
That right there is just like, you can do your things and cool, but if you see someone else doing something that's on that level, it's like, why?
yeah, and it's funny because
I mean, you can watch football for hours. You can watch NASCAR for hours, but you see someone else just sitting there minding their own business. It's a problem.
I just no, I just thought of something funny. Like imagine if like some like southern like hillbilly like thick accent just be like, "Hey boy, you playing that Dish GF5 again?" Like he pronounces it right, and like he's just explaining how the game is, but he's just like still thinks it's socially unacceptable, but yet he knows everything about Dish Gia. You playing Shin Megami Tensei? You're playing Persona instead of playing a real man's game like Shin Megami Tensei. Uh, like that'll be funny. Like if the social like stigma against games was just that you're being casual, but so like everybody's just like, oh, look at that guy. He's playing Mario Kart on 50cc. Like everybody, it's socially acceptable to play games. It's just not.
using the blue shell.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, look at him. He had to use the blue shell because he was in last place. Oh, look at him. He didn't bring his gaming rig to the Starbucks to actually play it.
And on a brighter note, there is hope because now elders that are way older than me, they be playing games too, as though it's nothing. So the stigma is starting to fade slowly, though.
Yeah,
Because take for instance, besides that old woman that does let's play with Skyrim, I came across a story about a couple solving their issues through Mario Kart. It's silly, huh?
yeah,
It'd be moments like, honey, I don't want to do these chores. I ain't doing these chores. It's like, nah, dude, one of us gonna have to get in to do it. And then it just be all right. I bet you in Mario Kart, you gonna do it. And then they grab their 64 controllers and it's on.
yeah.
And whoever loses gotta do the chore. And I was like, so that's I don't know. I see that makes me happy just to know that the whole stigma is going away slowly.
Yeah, and that
Because by the time I reach their age, instead of the people seeing me as, oh, you play video games, like, oh, what you playing, pops? It's like, oh, I'm playing this. What's up?
and
Hey, we're slowly getting to that point.
yeah, and if it really does bother you, understand that most of these people that find it awkward, they probably don't know what it's like to just like if they hang out with their friends and do things, they probably thought that was like, socially acceptable. They found their comfort zone. It's and if they have a problem with you with your comfort zone with games, understand that, there's just two different, people see worlds from different perspectives. So no matter what, even if it'll take forever for video games, like you said, it's starting to get socially more acceptable, but there'll still be those scraggle of people out there, and you just gotta let them, live and let live, because it's at the end of the day, if you enjoy your games, nobody can take that
Although
away
I
from you.
can see the arguments being made right now about people saying, "Oh, if you're this old, you made some horrible choices in your life." The thing is this: you to those people, they will say it's acceptable if a star, like a film star, a football player, anyone with a high statue, if they're playing video games and say it's acceptable, it's like, oh, all right. I guess it's okay to play video games, but to why are you waiting for a rich person to tell you it's all right to have a hobby?
Yeah, but as long
I mean, it's like a TV star saying it's okay to exercise.
yeah,
Really?
but and another thing is that I follow some people, like there's one guy I actually follow who is he's kind of pretty much anti gamer, but at the same time I like his points he makes most on other things, because he's more of a creator and a writer. He does all these things, and he mostly strayed away from video games because for him they're anti-productive, and like they don't. You rather play a video, like I get like that too. Like for sometimes when I want to stream or record, even when I want to do things surrounded with video games, I'd be like, no, I'll just either watch YouTube or play a video game. I don't like I stop myself from doing these things because of my
Now
hobbies.
that point is more valid to where if you're not getting what you need to get done, and you're just like, oh, I'm just gonna play video games like that dude off of South Park, then no,
Yeah, as
that that's more on the person than the video game that he's playing. He just does not want to do personal responsibilities.
yeah, because there's a lot of people out there that play games, and there's people on YouTube who review them, but they also, you know, they're getting out. Like some people don't like, video game reviewers because it's like or streamers but understand that they're doing these stuff. They're doing more than just playing the game. They're making something out of it. Like there are the competitive
Commentating, making like fan parodies, animations, skits,
like
something that they can make a profit off of.
gaming is their
It's
relax.
not meant for everyone though. I mean, not you can just get a computer say, "Hey guys, I'm gonna make me a 3D animation to make me $1 billion."
Yeah, because it's not gonna happen overnight. So you just gotta understand whatever you're trying to do, just work hard for it, and and try to be not like us where we just kind of procrastinate on things. But you know, this is our technically first episode, and we
Well,
recorded two.
technically third.
Yeah, but we recorded two podcasts, and we wouldn't have done that if we said we said, oh, it's too much, or we said we wanted to do it, and here we are doing it. And whoever,
Yeah. And we still can, hell, right now I'm playing fast.
yeah, I do. If I had Breath of the Wild, I'd be playing that run right now. I think that's another thing we could segue into. I just simply watching somebody play it made me want to play it. It's kind of like when people say, "Oh man," or if you're watching the food channel and you're watching somebody make a hamburger and you're suddenly hungry for a hamburger. I was watching my wife's sister play Breath of the Wild, and I don't know. She was traveling to this little isolated island, and it was so quiet because she was traveling this huge body of water using that ice um, thing from the Sheikah tablet. It builds a pillar of ice, and she gets
That
on.
must have took forever.
Yeah, she was getting there, but she gets on this island, and it pretty much takes away all your stuff, and you just got to survive on it. But
Yep.
the I didn't realize how good the ambience works well with the game. Like when I first played it, I was like, man, this game doesn't like the music's very mellow. There's not a lot of good tracks. Like in the older games, Zelda was like had some really sick tracks on them. I think like some of my favorite are from Ocarina of Time, and
Sorry, you don't bring up that name. In the comment section.
yeah,
Well,
but
why did you the players?
but I think that's a whole different like subject. I want to get into that subject later, but that one we will probably destroy our careers on that one. So we'll save that one for when we
Just
hopefully are.
Aaron.
Yeah,
We're not gonna have that debate.
okay, but regardless of whether or not you like the games, the songs on it are fire. Like a lot of sound, like the Zelda soundtrack for any game, Wind Waker and Ocarina of Time are my favorite soundtracks. They're awesome. But compared to Breath of the Wild, there's almost nothing. There are some tracks in there. They exist, but they're very contextual. Like they only happen in certain events, and they're more all the sounds are very piano. It's just a lot of piano sounds. Like when you defeat an enemy or just beating like just going around, it's just very small piano hits. There's very few other instruments, but it works. Like I didn't realize how well it worked when I started watching her play it, and just like I don't know, it was just the timing and just how good the game looked. And this is coming from somebody who thought it wasn't a big deal when it came out. But I did buy it when it first came out on the Wii U. And I think that was my problem was I was playing it on the Wii U and I didn't realize how different it looked on the Switch. Like it's night and day. I'm not even like that's not even a contest. There are some people that say
Well,
it's not a
I
difference.
tried it on my laptop, which I had to say, Switch. I'm not gonna lie, a lot of these the Switch version looks more better. But when you get an emulated Wii U textures, that 4K
Oh
is too good.
yeah, well I'm just talking about vanilla. Vanilla wise, the Switch looks good. The Wii U version's fine. I'm just saying the way I played it, like the Wii U pad, I was playing it mostly on the pad because, you know, somebody was playing Overwatch on the TV and I wanted to play uh, Breath of the Wild. And the screen did not do it justice because it was a 720p screen and it wasn't even that big. Like, compared to the Switches, it's smaller. Like, and the quality's not even that great. Like, the brightness is bad. I think that was another thing that happened. I probably needed to set the brightness or something, but I still like it was still hard to see a lot of stuff in the distance on that pad.
Hmm.
If I played it on the TV, I probably wouldn't have a problem. But again, that's not the point. It's not the point of which one is better. The point is, I want to play Breath of the Wild again. But I traded
But
it in.
speaking of Breath of the Wild, there, when it comes to video games, it seems as though some games will keep me coming back constantly. But then again, there are some games that just made me go, that was fun, and then I never come back to it.
Oh yeah, there's so like games that I've beaten. I never touch again. Rarely do, but there are some that I do go back to every once in a while. Um, but a lot of the AAA games that I've played, I usually try to 100% them or at least beat them. And uh, there's a good example was Far Cry 5. Far Cry 5 for me wasn't so bad. I actually liked playing it, but I don't want to get back into it. Compared to another game that's made by Ubisoft as well, Watch Dogs 2. I beat Watch Dogs 2, and I traded that one in for the Crash Bandicoot Trilogy collection. But for some reason, I just want to get back on Watch Dogs 2 because I kind of liked exploring and just doing all this random tasks, despite it being, Ubisoft. And for me, I don't really like all the big open world games that are getting bigger. Like, I'm not interested at all in the Assassin's Creed franchise. I never was. Ever since Assassin's Creed came out, I was kind of always like, meh. Like, it never impressed me. There was something about it that just, like, I could have been. I was playing Metal Gear Solid 4 when Assassin's Creed was relevant. I was playing other games, and I'm not saying, like, I had better taste. I'm just saying the games that I were playing were fun to me, and I couldn't buy. I had to be picky. I had to pick and choose games, so you had to sacrifice certain games to play in order to play the games you want, cause you weren't made of money when you were younger. I think.
Yeah, I mean, the game that I played recently, well, I'll say a couple months back, would have to be Bravely Default, and it was fun, but that was about it. It was just fun for a moment.
I
Didn't
hope
have
we're not
anything
picking up
that
my
made me want
yawns.
to come back. But on the other hand, I played another game, Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix for the PlayStation 4.
Uh huh.
Shoo, I couldn't stop with that game. I platinum that game twice. That's how much replayability that game had to me.
Yeah, there's a big like there people will go back and forth which one is better, one or two. And I know there's a lot of other games. For me, I
Uh,
always
but it's not the thing. We're not trying to like argue which one's the best. It's just the point stands that today, when it comes to gaming, we rarely have that game that engages us for a while. Because back whenever we were younger, there was like plenty of games where we didn't even care what it was, and we just hopping in for hours.
Yeah, because you had all
But
that time.
today, it's not so much the case to where, yeah, there's some games out there. There's some good games out there too, but it just lacks the oomph, just to make people want to play for a long time.
Yeah, and for me, it's always the games that are said to be done. Like, oh, you can finish this game in like 3 hours. There's a game that called Nuclear Throne. You get a trophy for reaching the end in 10 minutes. I don't think people realize that it's not so much as how long it takes to beat the game, but rather how many times you can tackle it over and over again. Like Hotline Miami is a short game, but man, did I have a blast playing through it. And oh, I got Hotline Miami 2 on the PS4 and it was crossplay and I was playing it. I beat it all on my Vita. I didn't even touch it on the PS4. Oh, it was just a blast. Like I was taking it to restaurants. I was just trying to beat the game and it Hotline Miami 2. I remember a lot of people saying that it wasn't as good as 1. I like Hotline Miami 2. I just like I don't it's the first one's fun, but man, 2 for me just had a more personal experience. Like I don't know. I beat it the first one on the PC, but something about it being on portable did make me experience 2 and enjoy it more. Um
Yeah,
but Hotline Man, but
go.
those two games I can go back to. I can probably install them right now and just have a blast again with it because those games, you like they're meant like it's live die repeat. Go back and try it again. Nuclear Throne's the same way. Once you die, you go straight back to the beginning. If more of these games, like all the that's why roguelikes are so popular in a sense. You die, you go back to the beginning, you restart, and all your progress. There's another game like that called Enter the Gungeon. Those games have that replayability
Keep
where
hearing a lot about that.
it's a fine game. My brother got it on the Switch on sale. I would at least try it. I don't know if you're into. It's one of those twin stick shooters where you use the where it's overhead and your character use the analog stick instead of controlling the camera. Or you control where your character's going to shoot.
Wait, you talking about a bullet hell shooter?
They're kind of like that, but they're more a map like not like Toho where they're just linear or like those ace, those I forgot what they're called, but like bullet hell, just where it's just linear and there's no real level progression. But those are fun in the sense that the bullets are you just try to dodge everything. But yeah, Enter the Gungeon's more like actually it's like Toho mixed with Castlevania in a sense where like the whole Metroidvania genre where you go back and forth and explore things. But unlike Metroid, the Metroidvania aspect of going back to it using different equipment, it's kind of
Speaking of Metroid, I I know some of you who are diehard Metroid fans. I know y'all heard this quote unquote fan made project AM2R. Yeah, that's another one. Even though it's not a official Nintendo game, I can just play that for hours, just trying to speed run that thing.
yeah. An controversial opinion. I still think just on impression alone, because I still haven't gotten to play the Samus Returns on the 3DS. AM2R is, from what I've seen, is probably the definitive version to play of that game. Not
Now, before those who come and try to argue, well, it's not official. Tell me why we've yet to receive a new game in ages. I know Prime 4 is coming out, but we don't know how Prime 4 is going to be. Don't know if it's going to be first person, 2D, and I just got well, I wouldn't say I just got through playing Samus Return. I 100% Samus Return twice on normal and fusion, and from what I can tell, the people who would be remotely interested in Samus Returns but hasn't really tried it yet, it plays like Metroid, but when it actually comes to longevity, speed runs, not really there. Because they're like a perfect example. There was some section, one of the sections in Samus Returns, where it was I guess you can call it a bug, but you know how Metroid vets do it. We sequence break.
Yeah.
So I tried to sequence break to get said item, but when I got the item didn't count towards my percentage at all.
Mhm.
And then when I beat the game and got 100% sent by doing that secret break, it counted as 99%, even though I got said item. It's like they specifically designed Samus Returns so you can't go out of path. That's not what everyone else is clearly used to or would want. I mean, because in Metroid, you can be well. Do you remember the speed ride record for a person being Metroid, like the fastest time without using passwords and all that?
No. The only one I know is Ocarina being beaten in like 30 minutes or something. But what was the record
Mhm.
for? What was the?
Shoot, I cannot remember all off the bat, but I can use that as an example. As in, just because in Metroid you have to go get the like a certain amount of missiles, beams, and upgrades. You don't have to really do that to beat the game. You could just get you a small handful of missiles, let you out to the final area, and then beat the game. Now it wasn't intended to be that way, but it started a trend which continued into Metroid 2, Superman Metroid, and so on. Shoot, you could even sequence break in Metroid Prime.
Yeah.
So I'm not understanding why whoever developed who developed this Metroid actively try to spite people who try to even try.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know anything about all that, but it's
I mean, AM2R on the other hand, if I want to beat the game, it's like if I want to go to the hydro station, I can figure out how to go to the hydro station. It'd be painful to tread through without the barrier suit. Well, not the barrier suit, but the gravity suit. But I can do that if I wanted to. If I wanted to go to that spot full of light, what was it called? The tower. If I wanted to go to the tower not properly equipped, I could do that too. The world is just open.
yeah.
Now, keep in mind, Metroid linear game, but how you can tackle problems is completely up to you. I mean, you could beat the game without the way. Well,
Ooh, I'm
there's a
yawning.
certain power up that you could beat it without. I just can't remember everything then because of that. But the point still stands. Freedom and the freedom of choice where if you didn't want to get an item that time you can come back later get it or beat the game without
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Ooh. Um. But back to the replayabilities and just going back to a game. I think a lot of the open. I think the problem is that what we wanted is totally different now. That everything's just shifting. Because back then in 2010, I remember everything had it wanted. People wanted these open world like survival games. Like Minecraft was the closest thing to that, and despite all that, it still made things. And then everything had to be a Minecraft clone with all the crafting and everything. And then people got tired of that. But for some reason, I think there's a lot of people still trapped in 2010 where everything has to be open world. All games have to be hyper realistic. The graphics have to be superior in every single way. and I don't think they realize that that actually puts a stigma in the communities, and people end up wanting things for games that they're not even part of the community of. Like, the weirdest thing is that people want a hyper realistic Pokemon game in an open world that almost like compared to like Skyrim graphics. And I say Skyrim graphics because this is when like that was the time where everybody wanted something like that. I remember seeing things on Reddit or like just random places where people just want their realistic open world Pokemon game. And it's just like, you don't want that. You don't want that. I like Pokemon belongs the way it is, and even when
Hey,
they try to,
it could work.
it can
It
work.
could.
It's not about
Have you seen Ocarina of Time in the Unreal Engine?
yeah, and it's but like it's certain like the Unreal Engine for me, I never liked it. Like there's a Sonic fan game that it's just Sonic just looks weird. Like in the Unleashed engine, the one that they use for Sonic Generations and all that stuff, and how the
The Havoc Engine.
yeah, it's fine. Like, but realistically, it just doesn't work. Like the Unreal Engine, like I think that's what Kingdom Hearts is going to be made on now. Because I think it was originally on its own engine, but then that's what the gap was, is that they were restructuring it on a whole new engine. Because I think Final Fantasy 15 is on the Unreal 4 engine, and that game's like
No, 15 is on. Wait, you said 14.
I meant to say 15. I know
I
14's on
thought
a
you said 15, but if you're saying 15, 15 is not on. When it's in-house,
okay.
I will miss it though.
Yeah, they stopped production on it, but I don't know. For me, the more I'm enjoying a lot more small scaled games, and despite me having problems with Overwatch, Overwatch did bring in the fact that a game doesn't have to be hyper realistic in order to be a success. Because when it was released, oh man, the amount of players on it and just the amount of
But I
hype.
need to bring up Sonic Mania.
Oh yeah, no, of course, but like with Sonic, the difference is that he went back to his roots. When a new game comes out, when there's no roots around it, like, oh hey, we have this new game, and it's just like nobody is gonna care if it's not open world. Like I remember there was just be YouTube comments being like, "This game's not open world, and what's the point? I don't want to beat it. I don't want a short game." It's like, who cares if the game is like short? You
Now they do have long games that are out there. It's just some of them get attention, some of them get attention in a negative light. Perfect example, the Neptunia series. I You would think it's just about some cute anime girls doing some cute things, but it actually has a story to it.
yeah, but what I mean is like I like I remember there was people complaining that the Order 1886 on that PS4 game was like only 7 hours long, and that game was flawed with many other reasons. But the length, a lot of people are like, "Oh, this game you could beat Final Fantasy 15 in 7 hours." Yeah, you can.
Why do you hate yourself?
Like, yeah, it's like when I started working, I realized I
I
had
mean, it's not impossible, but it's like, bro, what are you?
yeah,
I mean, you were meant to enjoy the 15, not just, oh, I'm just gonna go do this.
like do you, like Kingdom Hearts. You could like Kingdom Hearts is actually 2 is actually shorter than you think. It's doing all the side stuff that's like, whoa, there's like
That makes it longer.
I
Like
had
trying to get the ultimate blade or trying to fight Organization 13. I'm looking at you, Dade. And Dade
I,
Roxas.
I remember I've only spent like 20 like the amount of time recorded on my saves wasn't as long as you thought like I thought it was. I mean, I think I beat the game in 13 hours. And that's because I just kind of streamlined it. I didn't fight Sephiroth, so I didn't grind for that. But like
You didn't fight Sephiroth, you didn't fight the extra hidden bosses.
and I'm talking about outside of the final mix, so not even fighting the extra Organization 13 members. These games that I played. They're only long because either one, I couldn't beat it for a while and I just kept getting game over, so I kept playing it over and over again. Or two, it's just that it wasn't that long. Games were not they don't have that much space on the PS2, so and then in the older days, games were longer because they would reset you back to like Mario would set you back to the beginning if you got a game over. Because the idea was to keep players from beating it, so that way they can get, a full per. They don't want people to be like, oh man, I only played this game and I beat it in 30 minutes. Because it's true, you don't want to pay $60 for a game and beat it within 20 minutes. That's understandable. That's a different thing. But I mean, is like if you beat it in 7 hours on one sitting, I mean, I can't help you there. Like you could beat a lot of games that are supposed to be open world ended that you're supposed to have hours of content within less than 10 hours.
But sometimes games are longer than that.
No, yeah, of
But
course, if you're exploring and replaying it, you know. But like
but
this,
the point being is we lack a lot more when it comes to those type of games to where you just play it for like a few seconds and then bam, that's it. Like it's the last game that I had besides Breath of the Wild and Skyrim that made me invested to where I constantly keep coming back to that would have to be Persona 5.
yeah, for me, it's was Persona 4. Like when I played it on the Vita, man, just I couldn't stop. I would just keep grinding and playing it because it just has that like I don't know sense of just keep going. And
Who was best girl?
Naoto.
Hmm.
Yeah, I know. Gosh, I get so like I don't get like people don't hate me, but man, do people just like the brakes on on the waifu train just go to a complete halt. It's just like, I don't pick Naruto cause kanji. I'm like, I don't care. That's not canon. None of them are canon. Don't worry about it.
Recess best girl. Nah, we're not gonna have.
Yeah, no, of course, because like for me, in five it's Makoto, but like I just get a like I remember one guy's like, "Who's your favorite?" And he was like, I said no, like I shot straight from the hip, Makoto, and he's like, "Oh," um, and no big surprise, he was a Futaba fan. He's like, I just think that they just try to make Makoto like the waifu character, like this is like what are you talking about?
And he is right. Nah.
No, it's like she wasn't even voted the most popular. I think she was like out of the girls she was like second because first was Futaba. Ma,
But excuse us for fan enhancement and whatnot. But how long are we in podcast
an hour and three.
already?
Yeah, but
I only feel like 30 minutes.
it always feels like that. And I don't know. You're gonna probably hear some yawning within it because I was yawning a couple times because I don't know. Just it's already it's sort of late, but it's not too late. Like I'm fine. I just been yawning because I don't know. My body's tired. Like, but
Cold weather makes a lazy body.
yeah, but my room is hot. It's like it's weird because I don't know if the heater's on, but it feels like hell in here. Like I'm sweating, and it's not supposed to be this hot. Like my room just soaks up all the heat. Like the entire house will be cold, and my room will be like uh, a log cabin with the open fire.
Hmm. So, is like any plans for the next episode?
Um, as far as I know, it'll just be more video games. Cause why not? We can talk about fighting games.
Or we could talk about anime.
Yeah, we could bring up anime. That was another topic that I forgot. We forgot to mention in our first episode. Technically, that another subject that we're not afraid to tackle is anything within anime, just games and con culture, geek culture, but not necessarily in the whole "whoa, we're nerds about Star Trek." Because more like within anything, video games and anime. So just when you hear us, that's just know that's mostly what we be tackling.
Yeah, but we're mostly old when it comes to anime. We game show Fist of the North Star.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure most people would be on our the same side with most
That
topics.
Vampire Hunter D X Escaflowne. Yeah, well, yeah. I'm just showing my chef.
Yeah, getting a little too old. As you say these names, your hair starts to turn white.
Kimber the what? Nah,
No, Kimba.
nah, nah. I ain't that old, folks.
Jeez. All right. Well, I think we'll cut it in for the today. I'm Edtama 23.
And I am MeanMug XP, the man with the salt.
Yeah, and we're looking forward to recording more episodes and just getting it out there for you guys. But for now, this is us signing off.
Futaba best girl.
I'll kill you.